We celebrated our 5th anniversary recently. I'm 60 now and my husband is 65. In this day and age, getting married at 55 isn't exactly a headline. But here's the twist. It was my first marriage. And it was his first, too. For the longest time, wife was a title I never intended to hold. When I was barely 20, the man loved with a reckless, youthful devotion walked out on me. His name was Steve. He left when I was 5 months pregnant. At first, God forgive me, I spiraled into the darkest thoughts imaginable. But eventually, I pulled myself together and made a vow. I would never walk down an aisle. I refused to ever again be within arm's reach of a man who could vanish the moment things got real. I kept that promise for decades. My daughter grew up and got married, my grandkids were born, and I stayed stubborn, pulling the weight of my solitary life like a lone ox. It wasn't that men didn't ask. They did. But I had a streak of iron in me. If I made a decision, I stuck to it. Years of solitude made me sharper. Harder, it felt like my femininity had been sanded down by survival. But fate is a fickle lady, and I want to tell you how one man finally managed to lead me to the altar. After I retired, I decided to fix up a small cottage my parents had left. Me a little place with a patch of garden an hour outside the city. I took the commuter train there every weekend. I'd grab a book of crosswords and the time would fly by. One afternoon, a couple sat down next to me, clearly husband and wife, along with a small, wiry older gentleman across the aisle. At first it was quiet. Then I heard the wife's hushed, pleading voice. "Steve, please, let's just stop by the kids' place and help out. You're their father." But the rattle of the train couldn't drown out her husband's roar. "Are you an idiot? You want me to crawl on my knees for those losers?" A torrent of verbal abuse followed, aimed at his wife, his children, his own blood. I couldn't help but look up. My eyes locked onto the face of the man screaming, and my heart stopped. It was Steve. The same Steve who had abandoned me and his unborn child all those years ago. He hadn't changed. His face was just more wrinkled, etched with years of bitterness and hate. He was still loud, still a bully. "What are you looking at? Mind your own business before I give you something to look at." I froze. I couldn't move my hands or legs. It was a mix of old terror and fresh shock. And then something incredible happened. The small man sitting across from us stood up. He stepped directly between Steve and me. His voice wasn't loud, but it was like tempered steel. "If you don't stop disrespecting these women this instant, you're going to have to deal with me. A man who speaks to women like that is a coward, and I have no problem folding a coward in half." My heart dropped to my stomach. I thought, folding him in half? Steve will crush him with one hand. I was ready to jump up and protect my rescuer. But then I saw it. Steve shriveled. He hunched his shoulders and muttered something incoherent under his breath. In that second, one realized the truth. This tough guy only knew how to intimidate women. Faced with a real man, he withered instantly. Suddenly, 30 years of my pain and fear felt ridiculous. I had been afraid of this pathetic small creature. Tears started streaming down my face. 2 stops later, Steve and his wife got off. I broke down sobbing. I felt empty, but in a way that felt like a clearing after a storm. "Even tears can't ruin a face as beautiful as yours," my protector said, looking at me with a warmth I hadn't felt in a lifetime. He didn't look small to me anymore. Standing there was a man of immense courage. His name was Frank, a retired veteran. That was how I met my future. I realized then that for the first time in 30 years, I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to actually live again. And that's exactly what happened. Frank and I are incredibly happy. Life has a way of putting the pieces where they belong. It doesn't matter how many years have passed, because even the autumn of your life can bloom with light if you let it.